ghost comes into our bodies sometimes, and then we become strong. So it's interesting.
An ABVP supporter also, like, you know, Americans always show them fighting aliens, but in India we believe that anything external to us does not always bode harm. So that he would try to befriend an alien if he ever were to meet one. And so that influenced me a lot since then. They're not denying that it's there. So that's like a huge step from the regular people I meet. Although I would say in the South, people are more open to like daily occurrences of supernatural events. As you know, New Orleans is very famous for ghost tours. And there's a TV show, Atlanta, that also talks about like the legacy of slavery through the uncanniness of living in Atlanta as a living African American versus like the dead. So we left off last time where someone was offering somebody's head to the gods in a quote. And I also called one of my friends who's an actual Siddha, and today's is his birthday. Happy birthday, Manu. He doesn't really understand English, so he's not going to watch this recording, but he knows I care about him. And he's also one of the people who are like, if you can't do a puja, you just need to set your attitude straight, you know, like, cause I really don't know that much about pujas. My mom doesn't do puja. That's where I am in my life journey, you know, journey through life. I did hear about like the side effects of practicing Vajrayana, but I didn't know it would come so quickly, you know. Okay, let's start reading. Jai Mata Di, Jai Mata Di, Jai Mata Di. A Siddha is so fearless as regards to his own life that when he sees a sword, he bows his neck. A Siddha goes verily to places where life is destroyed. Siddhas are immortal. Their bodies are like mercury. Siddhas are like vultures and can see to the ends of heaven. End quote. As the Vamshavali informs, Charpat perhaps had a sanctuary in the extreme end of Chamba, across the river Ravi. It, however, seems unlikely that the shrine was built at the same place. The first grant to the Jogis was made in 1783, when the land grant earlier made to Charpat was transferred to a Jogi named Gulabnath, who was appointed the priest of the portal of Charpatnath. It may be conjectured that earlier a different branch of Jogis were looking after the portal, if it existed, and the shifting cultural considerations, as the 1781 treaty with Jammu would suggest, made Chamba patronize the family of Gulabnath. It was his honored duty to firm up the ties of the state with the peripheral areas as much as to be loyal to the family. That he was the priest of Mahakali, the family deity of the Chamba rulers, would suggest this as well. Thereafter, the renewal of the grant is continuous, using the same language as the preceding charter, and merely changing the name of the ruler and the date. The 1783 charter is, however, not clear if this was the first ever grant made to the Jogis, as it obliquely refers to the landed provisions made earlier to Charpatnath along with a share in the fresh harvest, though subject to a cess paid in kind/cash. Mangde di Muafi. The Jogis also got a share from the proceeds accrued at the portal of Mahakali. The Jogis were also the priests of Mahakali. Interestingly, the genealogy points out that the tutelary deity of Chamba was Bhadrakali. This is significant as the genealogy prepared by the Brahmanas was aware of the fact that only a non-Brahmana, Jogis in this case, could officiate as the priest of Bhadrakali. All this, however, confounds the role and position of Charpat, an historical Siddha, an alchemist, and a tantric. The precise historicity of Charpatnath, like other Siddha cultic figures, is doubtful. He is projected as the disciple of Jalandharanath and a preceptor of Dumari and Minapa, as well a pupil of a particular alchemist,
Vyalipa. Historically, his position oscillates between the Tibetan Vajrayani Siddhas and the Kanapata Jogis.
The Nath Siddhas of Gorakh's Nath and Matsyendra Nath, belonging to Aipant, one of the 12 sects associated with the Naths. He is variously named Charapatipada, Charapatri, Charyadipa, and Karbabipa. It is pertinent to mention here the accounts of two Tibetan travelers who may have a bearing on the chronology of Charpat of the 13th century. Gochenpa and his disciple Orgyenpa. Oh my gosh, Orgyen! Orgyen is also one of the names of Karmapa, His Eminence. So this is like all coming together. Gochenpa lived from 1189 to 1250 A, and Orgyenpa lived from 1230 to 1309 CE. Gochenpa visited Spiti particularly to meet the great Siddha named Karagpa. Significantly, he also visited Chamba from Lahore after crossing the Kukti Pass. Footnote 17. The insertion of Bhadrakali in the genealogical record is significant on many accounts. The goddess is worshipped particularly to gain victory in war, which the rulers of Chamba were in desperate need of in the 16th to 17th century. As she could only be worshipped by non-Brahmanas, the Jogis who practiced tantric rituals became its priests. The Shaivite character of these priests was textually manipulated, and they were known as Parashaiva, literally the foremost worshipper of Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. The title of those who have been consecrated as the officiants of the goddess. Alexis Sanderson, Atara Vedans in Tantric Territory, Atara Veda and its Paipalada Shakha, historical and philological papers on a Vedic tradition. Taranath is also cited. Thereafter, the Tibetan visited Kangra, the seat of Jwalamukhi, Jai Jwalama, Jwalamukhiwa, the goddess that offered siddhis to Siddhula. The goddess was also associated with the Nath ascetics, and the Pitta, the seat of the goddess, was famed for its sulfur springs. As we shall analyze later, sulfur was associated with the goddess and played a significant part in the tantric hatha yogic praxis. Orgyen similarly followed his guru to Kangra to meditate and offer prayers. Kuriye Kangre dira! In the little-known couplets that are attributed to Charpatnath, he ridicules the jogi attire, the Nath tradition of splitting ears, and questions their ways to achieve salvation. Does he mean they cut ears off? I have no idea. He emphasizes the tradition and role of Satta Guru, or the true preceptor, like the Nath Mahasiddha schools, cautions against tantrics. He is concerned with disease. He is passionate about health, healthy body. He is an alchemist. He allegedly calls himself the Atma Jogi, the one who has realized the soul or self by perfecting yogic alchemical techniques, emphasizing control over sense organs and mind. Alternatively, the Atma Jogi is an adept who has realized the Kundalini process, one who has attained the highest cognitive spiritual sphere, the Brahmarandra. At the same time, an insignificant stotra, the hymn of praise from Nepal, allegedly composed by Charpat, Charpati Stuti Pani, alludes to certain magical practices that he was dexterous in, firmly placing him within the larger Nath Siddha tradition. These would include levitation. So the book of Power to Fly is called Anjana Guttika Paduka Siddhi. Just as the tales of Lama Taranath, Lama Kano, composed towards the end of the 16th century, informs us that he learned the art of making quicksilver elixir from Vyali, who also taught him the transmutation of base metals into gold. So in Chinese Taoist tradition, they were also obsessed with making mercury gold. It's like, wow. Just dig the earth, man, with your non-existent machine already. A drive for an exoteric transmutation of metals has an esoteric spiritual parallel as well. In the words of Svoboda, writing for his Agori guru Vimalananda. Let me go get the book. Hang on. I was listening to these bhajans even before I knew about all this, and I love their bhajans. It's so nice. There's also a Hindi movie about her. Wow. Bhakti Sagar. This is the Svoboda book written for the Guru Vimalananda, quoted by Dr. Mahesh Sharma. It is about the Agori practice. It is not for the faint-hearted. Just like our Gaddi friends who sacrifice lamb, it is very bloody and gory. In the words of Svoboda, there is a corresponding metamorphosis of the base metal of human consciousness into the gold of enlightenment, a state of unlimited consciousness. There's a really long footnote just before the Kali photo in this book. Lakshman Thakur opines that they visited the shrine of Vajreshwari in Kangra and wrongly ascribed it as Jwalamukhi. I think that this type of omission by a practitioner is not possible. Moreover, these people were looking for the technique of calibrating mercury in sulfur, which the seat of Vajreshwari did not offer. I am of the firm opinion that the shrine of Vajreshwari did not exist at this time, as it is only towards the beginning of the 16th century that we start to get evidence about its existence. While all early chronicles associated with the Tughlaqs or Akbar, the Mughals, write about Jwalamukhi. See also Mahesh Sharma, Shaktism in Himachal, in an edited volume by J.S. Grewal, Perspectives on the Himalayan Goddess, History, Myth, and Practice in Research Bulletin, both published in 2006. Ronald M. Davidson, Indian Esoteric Buddhism, a social history of the Tantric movement, places him in the 10th century Chamba. This is who? Charpat. I think he's talking about Charpat in this footnote. Ronald M. Davidson places Charpat in the 10th century Chamba along with the myth of the coming of the 84 Siddhas in Barmore. Relying on the genealogy translated by Vogel and History of Panjab Hill States by Hutchinson and Vogel, as does K.P. Sharma in the book Mani Mahesh Chamba Kailash, Delhi, 2001. The writings of Charpati are of little help as they are located within the wider Nath Siddha tradition, a hagiographic corpus in Sanskrit and vernacular languages. The themes cutting across or blurring the sectarian lines. So I think Dr. Sharma is trying to trace this guy through sectarian fights, and then so anything that is not within a very specific sect, he cannot accept it as historically accurate, which is, I guess, very unnerving to our present-day liberal consciousness. So we left off at levitation, and quicksilver elixir, and unlimited consciousness. And Robert Svoboda, he's also active on YouTube, so go check his interviews out if you're into Tantra. Left-hand Tantra. There are 3 unknown texts attributed to Charpat in the Tibetan.
Pangyur. Chaturbutta Bhava Vivasana Kramanama is
The first
Aryavalakotishvaraya Charpatirachita Stotra
is the second.
Sarvasiddhi Karanama is the third.
More popular, however, are the vernacular couplets in the North Indian dialects attributed to Charpatna. Some of his couplets, compiled in Samvat 1711, translating to Common Era 1654, manuscript from Lahore, are produced below in my translation to provide an idea about the ambiguous character of Charpat and his lore.
Becoming externalist, I will not set out. Why should I get my ears pierced? I will not smear the ash that wears out. Damned if I roll in ash like a donkey. I will not sport sheli around my neck, nor the deerskin. Patched garment I will not wear, which is worn out. I shall not worship the begging vessel.
Oh, we have a begging vessel right here. How